Hello, this is John Pollock, and this is Fight News Now, the MMA edition. Hello everybody and welcome to Fight News Now. I'm John Pollock, and for the next 30 minutes we are getting you all caught up on what is happening around the world of mixed martial arts. On the program today, we'll dissect UFC 163 from this past weekend. Bellator enters the dangerous waters of pay-per-view. John Ramdeen and Robin Black are going another 3 rounds as they cover every inch of the mixed martial arts universe. And up first are this week's newsmakers. Phil Davis had his arm raised in Brazil this past Saturday night with a unanimous decision victory over Machida, with a decision that has been hotly debated in the aftermath. The direct result has been a surge in the UFC's light heavyweight rankings for Mr. Wonderful, who jumps up to the number 4 spot behind Alexander Gustafsson, Machida, and Glover Teixeira. Davis defended his performance when speaking at the post-fight press conference.
Anytime it goes to the judges, you forfeit your right to be upset. You just got to give it to the judges, and whatever they say is what they say.
It's tough, you know. Sometimes you don't understand what rules are being used. I don't know if they analyze this as a wrestling ring, where you win a fight when you take someone down. But I'm not criticizing Phil Davis. I'm only criticizing the position of the referees.
The UFC 163 card was headlined by featherweight champion Jose Aldo, improving to 23-1 and stretching his unbeaten streak to 16 fights as he stopped the Korean zombie Chan Sung Jung in the 4th round after a shoulder injury caused Jung to be idle for the finish. Aldo didn't leave the cage unscathed, as it was reported afterwards that Aldo suffered a broken right foot in the opening round and doesn't expect to fight again in 2013.
When the fight started, the first thing I did, I kicked him, and he put his knee. So in the first time I kicked him, I don't know if I broke my foot. I don't know. It's very swollen. But we try to control it in a different way. Everyone already expects for me to be kicking low kicks. But, you know, I'm a complete fighter. I always try to practice everything. Wherever the fight goes, I always try to use all my weapons. I don't have only one weapon. I have a whole arsenal of weapons.
My strategy was starting to work, in particular in the 4th round. I was really planning to turn up the intensity. Unfortunately, when I separated my shoulder, I had to put it in, tried to put it back in myself, but it didn't work, and I think Jose noticed that my shoulder was out, and he kicked me 3 times really hard. So unfortunately, the shoulder was not able to be put back in.
Another man walking wounded out of UFC 163 was the victorious flyweight Ian McCall, who notched his first win inside of the octagon with a unanimous decision win over Iliard Santos, using superior footwork and staying patient for the majority of the fight as Santos attempted to get Uncle Creepy to brawl constantly. McCall is the subject of this week's tweet of the week, as he posted a picture of his broken right hand that he suffered early in the fight, but did not take away from his performance, going 15 minutes with Santos. Last week, it was confirmed that Bellator MMA will enter the world of pay-per-view with their first card set for November the 2nd in Long Beach, California, headlined by light heavyweights Quinton Rampage Jackson and Tito Ortiz. This past Monday, Bellator held a press conference with both fighters, as well as Bellator CEO Bjorn Rebney, to discuss how the fight came together and whether Roy Jones Jr. was actually being considered for the spot that Ortiz has now occupied to fight Jackson.
Honestly, I think Tito f***ed up that fight. The whole time, I was getting ready to prepare for Jones. I was going to get down to 200 pounds. I was already setting up a boxing camp and everything. Then when Tito signed the Bellator, I was like, damn, there goes my Roy Jones fight. You know, I think that the Jones fight will come around eventually after Tito and I fight. You know, if everything go according to plan and everything, I'm sure that's a fight that'll happen, because Jones is very interested in fighting me.
I didn't mean to. I want to fight the best, you know. I mean, I come here and I fight somebody who no one knows, and all of a sudden people are like, oh, Tito's getting a gimme fight. I don't want no gimme fights. My whole career, I've always fought the top 5 in the world. I've always been tried to be shut down, and, you know, sometimes I come and I shut those people up, or, you know, I walk away with a close loss, but I've always came out and put on a show. And when I came here, I didn't want an easy fight. And it's about putting the friendship aside, as they say, and give the fans what they want to do. Our job is to fight. My job is to fight. Rampage's job is to fight. I love it. And when I have a positive environment around me, I love it even more.
There were many critics of the recent Rory MacDonald-Jake Ellenberger fight from the UFC on Fox 8 event, But McDonald's teammate George St-Pierre, not surprisingly, wasn't one of them. St-Pierre recently spoke about McDonald's performance and the pending question of the two elite welterweights ever fighting for St-Pierre's title.
I felt Rory a great fight for me. I believe it was up to his opponent to open up and try to create something to change the momentum of the fight, because he was losing. If you know you're losing, you have to do something to change the momentum of the fight, you know. And I have planned for my career, you know. I can't tell everything right now what I can do, you know. I have project for my mixed martial art career, you know. And I fight Rory every day in the gym, you know. We train together all the time. I don't look Rory as an opponent. I don't want to fight Rory. I look him as a training partner and a friend. And right now I'm focusing on Johnny Hendricks.
The welterweight champion just finished up a week-long tour promoting his next fight against Johnny Hendricks, which will go down November the 16th in Las Vegas. In Hendricks, St-Pierre is facing one of the toughest wrestlers he has ever shared a cage with, and shared some insight into what makes this challenge both unique and difficult to break down.
I hope I don't have to wrestle him. You know, hopefully I finish it, but if I have to, yeah. I go in there with the thought process of win every aspect of it, you know, and if I have to use my wrestling, I plan on to.
Johnny, like really earned the title shot. He's on a roll right now. He's the #1 guy, and that's what makes the fight so excited, and that's what makes me so excited. I want to be the best, and to be the best, I need to be the best, so I'll be ready for the fight. I'm excited, you know.
The two are not engaging in any heated back and forth, and thus a stark contrast to the Ronda Rousey-Machida-Tate bantamweight title fight set for December the 28th at UFC 168. The two have spared no opportunity to disparage the other as they prepare for the debut of next season's Ultimate Fighter show, where both serve as coaches. Rousey recently discussed her dislike for the challenger and why this fight is a personal one.
I think it's a personality thing, mostly. I think we were raised very, very different ways. And I was raised that in order to respect somebody, you're honest and you're upfront with them and you tell them exactly what you think. And her idea of respect seems to be to smile to your face and then do something behind your back or talk behind your back. And so I would rather, I think it would be more respectful for her just to tell me off in my face instead of just to smile in my face and, you know, talk behind my back. I mean, everything that she's ever really said that was insulting about me was never to me, and I think that is classless. So I think that telling someone what you think to their face is the most respectful thing you can do.
The problem that I have with Ronda is I felt disrespected from the very get-go. I remember when she was like 3-0 or 4-0, she was coming up in Strikeforce, and the very first interview I think I ever watched of her where I got to kind of know her a little bit was with, I think it was with Ariel Helwani, and she said, you know, yeah, I'm going to come down to 135 and I'm going to slap that title out of her hands. And I was like, wait a minute, who is this girl? I would never be so disrespectful. And it just kind of went from there. It was a personal insult. So if you were me, you know, any of you guys, I think you probably would have taken that a little bit personally. So I said, hey, you know, I don't like that. And she's kind of like, well, I don't care if you don't like that. And then it just kind of escalated. You know, that's really all that it is.
Amidst all this smack talk, we've got Johnny Hendricks who's just bowing his head like praying for their sins to be forgiven here. But Ronda Rousey, John, saying that Machida-Tate is like a teenager in August. No class.
Awesome. This is exactly what needs to be done when you're trying to establish a weight class. You want people to tune in, so you do whatever you have to make sure those eyeballs are there. I'm sure Judo Jean LaBelle had something to do with the way Ronda Rousey approaches fights.
Tell us what's coming up on 3 rounds. Any smack talk going on between you and Robin Black?
No smack talk between us, but I honestly believe that the lighter weight classes can take a page out of Ronda Rousey's book.
There you go. You want the answers? You're going to have to stay tuned as Fight News Now continues. Welcome back to Fight News Now. It's John Pollock here with you, and we now bring in John Ramdeen and Robin Black for another edition of 3 Rounds. And this week, guys, we're chatting UFC 163 from this past weekend, where many people outraged over some decisions, but a lot of positives as well from some performances.
Yeah, of course, Jose Aldo proving that he is, without a shadow of a doubt, one of the best pound-for-pound fighters on the planet. He was able to overcome adversity, he injured himself early in that first round, and I think that is a real true testament of what a champion should be.
Yeah, I agree. You know, in some cases it's really easy. You just watch a fight and you go, man, look at this guy. Look at the skills. Look at the way he moves. Look at the way he implements a game plan. But then fights like this one, you don't quite know know how they're unfolding until you get to the end and you find out one guy blew out a tire in the very, very first couple of minutes of the fight. And when you look back at it, you either watch the fight a second time or you redigest it, you realize you got a guy with a bum leg out there operating on such a high level. We used to really celebrate the great athletes who score the winning goal in hockey with a broken leg or catch that last touchdown in football with a concussion or what have you. We need to realize and we need to remember how tough it is to compete at this level. And for Jose Aldo to be able to do it on one foot, man, that was phenomenal.
Jose Aldo continues to improve because of his dedication to mixed martial arts. He says that he wants to go down as one of the best fighters in the history of the sport, and the way to do that is to always have a fresh, positive outlook, continue to look to try to improve your skill set. And right now for Jose Aldo, do you see any weaknesses in his game?
Man, there's so much going on for this guy. Let's start at the top. Well, you know, what does he have for training partners? What does he have for a gym? This is as good as it gets.
Yeah.
These are as good as it gets out there. And when we look at where he comes from, this is a guy who would live in the gym. He came from nowhere, literally nowhere. And he lived in the gym on his way up. Guys would have to check in with him, you know, during his work days when he's on his third and his fourth training session of the day and go, Jose, did you eat? Don't worry, I ate yesterday. You know, this guy was bred for this. He brought himself from nothing, and he's training at the highest level, and he's winning at the highest level.
Why aren't people talking about him? And of course, they're talking about him in the grand scheme of things as pound for pound. But you have John Jones, number 1, George St-Pierre, number 2, so on and so forth until you get to number 6, 7, or 8, and you find Jose Aldo there. How come people aren't giving this guy the respect, considering he really is talented in every single area of the game? We've seen it when Mark Hominick was on top of him. We saw it when he was injured in this fight with Korean Zombie. He absolutely obliterated Cub Swanson, taking out Chad Mendes, working against some of the best fighters.
Florian
exactly,
and all the way
guys.
top to bottom. I think we're, you know, right at the point where if we're going to look at what defines this guy's career, we can see his accomplishments already, but everybody can sense this new rise of young challengers, these high-level, young 145-pound machines. And once he knocks off, or if he can continue to knock off a few of those, it'll be undeniable.
When you look at the top 10 ranking, or the UFC's top 10, of course, everybody has Jose Aldo at number 1. The number 1 ranked guy underneath Jose Aldo is Chad Mendes, a guy that's faced the champion in the past. So not a lot of real challenges. We have Frankie Edgar there, Cub Swanson, Chan Sung Jung, all guys that the champion has faced in the past. What do you do moving forward? Do you give Cub Swanson the shot, considering he's on a 5-fight winning streak? People didn't see their first fight in the WEC, so you can sell this guy as a reinvigorated fighter that now is maybe different than the first time they faced off.
I think if the sport wasn't so young, you would look at it and go, he beat everybody. You know, he's just beat them all. But he developed at such a high rate that some of these guys he's beat legitimately have an argument that they could beat him now, that he needs to beat them at their peak of their career, which guys like Swanson, Lamas looks unbeatable. And he has a win over Cub Swanson as well. But for my money, Chad Mendes really, I mean, Money Mendes looked great in that fight. He ate a knee at 4 minutes and 59 seconds of the first round, but since then knocked out 3 dudes, all in the first round, has looked unreal. This is the kind of guy who's made an argument for himself to get a chance to, you know, redo that fight and try to win it, and he has the skills to do it.
You talk about money, and that's also kind of the name of the game. It isn't just what opponents are in front of Jose Aldo. The UFC is trying to make some money by having Jose Aldo face off with some of the most interesting characters in the division. You mentioned Lamas. Well, not a lot of people know who this guy is. He's a very talented fighter, but again, you're trying to sell a pay-per-view, and you need the right dance partner. Do you keep Jose Aldo at 145 pounds and have him matched up against Clay Guida, or a rematch against Mendes, or Seaver, or Eric Koch? Or do you move this guy up to 155 pounds and give him some of the super fights he's been asking for?
Yeah, you look at some of these fights, I mean, some of these opponents, and Lamas can slice you open like an envelope. He's got all kinds of skills. We'd love to see it from a pure sport perspective. From a money perspective, though, you got to look at Showtime Pettis coming down to 145. I mean, imagine, perfect storm. Pettis wins the 155-pound title, and then you argue over, is one guy going up, is one guy going down, are we meeting at 150? That's the kind of thing the UFC needs right now to really take it to another level. But, you know, we talk all the time about the beauty of these pure sport matchups, and I think you and I, that's what we're passionate about. But I think for a lot of these casual fans, a lot of the people who are at different levels of digesting this business, they want to see big name fights.
Well, the 125-pound division has got to do something about developing top-level guys. We know Demetrius Johnson, the current 125-pound champion, isn't that pound-for-pound mix. But right now, the division is kind of a mishmash. You don't have consistency because all the best guys are clearly facing off against each other. You have Formiga, who's lost, I believe, his last 2 in a row, taking on Joseph Benavidez coming up. You have Ian McCall in the mix. You have so many guys right now. A guy like John Moraga, who just lost against Demetrius Johnson for that title. So really, the division is wide open for any one of these guys to come in, have a couple of good performances, and you never know, like a guy like John Lineker gets a win at UFC 163. Is he ready for a title shot against Demetrius Johnson? Maybe not, but the UFC needs challengers right now at 125 pounds.
Yeah, they really do, but at the same time, man, this is the pinnacle of showing the quality of skills, the ability to execute mid-fight, you know, change your game plan mid-fight, speed, explosiveness, all of that. And I think you and I are going to take it on as our job to make sure that people realize how special this division is, how serious it is, and how serious Demetrius Johnson is. This would be a great division without him. You look at a guy like Dodson, you look at Da Silva, you look at all these names, and you make a little flow chart, and they've all kind of fought each other already as they jockey for position, as they define that pecking order. But at the top, Demetrius Johnson, man, this guy is the real thing. He's going to be very tough to beat.
It was Formiga who lost to John Dodson, has that win over Chris Carriasso, who was back-to-back losses against some of the best guys in the division. What do you need to do? Do you have to continue to put these guys on big TV, not hide them on Facebook or some of the prelims to give these guys exposure? We saw Ian McCall entertain in his fight with Santos. I think these guys are just waiting for this opportunity to break out and show the casual fans that, look, it's not just about one-punch knockout. It's speed, it's movement, it's body awareness. And I think those attributes, I think, will allow fans to say, you know what, I'm going to get behind 125 pounds.
Yeah, this division and some of these athletes are the very thing that will educate some of these fans. A lot of fans, you know the big famous guy and they want to see him land the big punch, but you want to learn the sport. You want to learn it the way football fans know football and baseball fans know baseball, and all the way down, you watch the 125ers. You watch these guys' elite exhibition of skill, and the UFC needs to shit or get off the pot with this one. Decide if you're going to really showcase these guys, make it about their skills and make it about their ferocious entertainment as a skilled fighter, and let the names develop themselves.
What about a guy like Azamat Gashimov, who's very talented, very fun to watch, but is coming off back-to-back losses to Ivan Menjivar and Lineker? You know, the casual fan sees this guy, well, he's a loser. But the fact is, if you dig deeper, he's an entertaining fighter who really could, compete with some of the best 125-pound fighters in the world on any given day.
Small division, and every single fight matters at this division, which also makes it really interesting. If you're a young prospect right now, man, 125, if you can make that weight, that's the place to be, because they need guys. There's really good guys, and 1 or 2 wins gets you right to the top.
I know we haven't given the bantamweights love, but John, in the coming weeks, we're going to take a look at 135
That's a whole
pounds.
other
It's completely overshadowing the 135ers. Thank you very much, guys. As always, you can catch more with those two on 5 Rounds, which airs every Monday night, 7 Eastern on Fight Network. We're coming back with more as Priscilla Carapan presents The Shift, and this week's viral video is a lesson in Taekwondo. Stay tuned.
Send that down, don't make sure that the king that's real.
Welcome back to Fight News Now. I'm John Pollock, and Friday nights just got even more exciting because it's movie night here on Fight Network. This coming week at 9 Eastern, we have X2, the popular sequel to X-Men, and the last movie before they ruined it with the 3rd installment. Check it out this Friday night, and that brings us to this week's viral video, my favorite segment, and we've got a goodie for you this week. Check it out.
Send that down, don't make sure that the king that's real.
He's single, ladies. And that brings this week's edition of Fight News Now to a close. Consider yourself all up to date with what's going on in mixed martial arts. Don't forget to catch 5 rounds each and every Monday night at 7 Eastern. Plus, tune into the MMA Report with myself, a weekly podcast that comes out each Thursday at FightNetwork.com and on iTunes. This week, I'll be joined by Bruce Buffer. On behalf of John Ramdeen, Robin Black, Priscilla Carapan, the whole Fight Network crew, I'm John Pollock, and we'll be chatting with you again next week.
Still,